Humans? A backwater species clinging to a fragile planet. They're nothing but a nuisance, snarled High Warlord Kraildar of the Valtheran Dominion, his voice reverberating through the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council. They'll crumble like all the others. Weakness is in their blood. The council chamber, a cavernous hall of shimmering metals and crystalline spires, fell into a tense silence. Representatives of various galactic species exchanged uneasy glances. For centuries, the Valtheran had been the undisputed enforcers of the Galactic Council's will. Their military conquests were legend, their warriors unbeaten. And now, they set their sights on Earth. Ambassador Elena Markov stood at her podium, her face calm but her fists clenched beneath the table. She was Earth's sole representative at the Council, and though she had expected disdain from the Valtheran, the outright dismissal of humanity's strength stung. Elena, Warlord Kraildar continued, his lips curling into a mocking grin, you should advise your leaders to submit. It will spare your people unnecessary suffering. Submission, Elena replied, her voice steady, is not in humanity's nature. You would do well to remember that. The room erupted in murmurs, but Kraildar merely laughed, a guttural sound like grinding stone. Bold words from a species barely out of their infancy. We'll see how long that defiance lasts. The Valtheran Dominion had earned their reputation through centuries of domination. With their towering physiques, advanced bioarmor, and planet-crushing weaponry, they were the Council's enforcers, ensuring compliance across countless star systems. No species had ever resisted them for long, and many had surrendered without a fight. To the Valtheran, war was both an art and a science, one they had perfected. Yet, Earth presented an anomaly. Unlike most species, humanity was not formally integrated into the galactic order. They had been discovered only recently, their technological advancements crude compared to interstellar norms. Still, humanity's independence chafed the Valtheran, who saw it as an affront to their authority. This debate is over, Kraildar declared, slamming a clawed fist onto the council table. The Valtheran fleet will descend upon Earth in 3 rotations. We will show them the price of defiance. Far from the gleaming council chambers, Earth's leaders convened in a fortified underground bunker. The air was thick with tension as satellite images of the incoming Valtheran fleet flickered on the screens. General Michael Harper, a decorated veteran with steely gray eyes, addressed the room. We've faced insurmountable odds before. This time is no different. They underestimate us, and that will be their mistake. What's the plan, General? Asked one of the advisors. Harper's gaze shifted to a smaller group seated at the edge of the room. Their uniforms bore no insignias, their faces unreadable. Navy SEAL Team Echo, Earth's Eli. They had been briefed only hours earlier, their mission classified at the highest level. The Valtheran rely on brute force, Harper explained. They conquer by overwhelming their enemies with superior technology. But we've studied their tactics. They're predictable, overconfident. SEAL Team Echo will exploit that. Your mission is to infiltrate their operations on the ground, gather intelligence, and disrupt their chain of command. If we can destabilize them, we level the playing field. Lieutenant Commander Jack Keller, the team leader, nodded sharply. Understood, sir. We'll give them a fight they won't forget. As the Valtheran fleet approached Earth, their confidence grew. They deployed scout ships to assess Earth's defenses, transmitting data back to their command. Pathetic, Kraildar scoffed as he reviewed the findings. Primitive aircraft, ballistic missiles. This isn't a war, it's pest control. But beneath the surface, humanity was anything but complacent. The SEAL team moved with precision, preparing for their insertion. They knew the risks, understood the stakes. Failure wasn't an option, not with billions of lives hanging in the balance. In the depths of the Pacific Ocean, aboard the stealth submarine Predator, the SEALs geared up. Keller addressed his team one last time. The Valtheran think we're weak. They think we'll fold like everyone else. But they don't know us. They don't know what we're capable of. Tonight, we show them. The Predator ascended to launch depth, and the team boarded their submersible insertion pods. As the pods fired into the abyss, Keller's voice echoed through their comms. Remember this, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting to show them what it means to be human. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the remaining representatives watched the Valtheran fleet's progress with a mix of dread and resignation. They'll burn that planet to ash, murmured one delegate. The humans never stood a chance. But Elena Markov, now back on Earth, stared at the stars through a reinforced observation window. Her expression was grim, yet resolute. They think we're weak, she whispered to herself. But they don't understand what happens when humans are cornered. The stage was set. The Valtheran were coming, their arrogance blinding them to the storm they were about to unleash. The first wave of the Valtheran invasion was an unrelenting display of firepower. Massive landing craft descended like mechanical leviathans, deploying towering war machines and columns of bioarmored soldiers. Cities crumbled under the precision of orbital strikes, and entire regions were consumed in the chaos of their advance. To the Valtheran, this was another inevitable conquest. But their confidence faltered as their initial victories yielded something unexpected: no surrender, no pleas for mercy. The humans retreated strategically, disappearing into terrain the Valtheran's technology struggled to penetrate. Their vast databases lacked understanding of Earth's rugged, unpredictable environments. In the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, Navy SEAL Team Echo prepared to strike. From the shadows, Lieutenant Commander Jack Keller scanned the enemy encampment through thermal optics. His voice was a low whisper in the team's comms. Target confirmed. Looks like a logistics hub. This is where they're funneling supplies for the assault. How do you want to play it, boss? Asked Chief Petty Officer Ramirez, his tone laced with anticipation. Quiet and clean. No witnesses. They won't even know we were here. The Valtheran had underestimated Earth's terrain and its defenders. Their arrogance extended to their camps, which were built with minimal security precautions. They relied on automated systems and sensors, assuming no one could penetrate their perimeter. Keller smirked at the oversight. All right, team. Move in. Like wraiths, the SEALs advanced, their movements silent and methodical. Each member of the team was a master of their craft, and their synergy was unbreakable. They bypassed detection systems, using EMP devices to disable sentries. Within minutes, they had infiltrated the heart of the encampment. Ramirez placed a shaped charge on a massive energy relay, the power source for the Valtheran's anti-air systems. Fireworks are ready, he murmured. Hold, Keller replied. We need to hit their comms array first. They can't call for reinforcements. The SEALs split into two teams, weaving through the labyrinth of alien technology. Petty Officer Sarah Daniels, the team's electronics specialist, hacked into the Valtheran's communication terminal, downloading vital intelligence while planting malware that would feed the enemy false data. They're planning a massive push toward the eastern seaboard, Daniels whispered. This isn't just an invasion, it's annihilation. Keller's jaw tightened. Not on our watch. Minutes later, the camp erupted in chaos. Explosions tore through the power grid, plunging the area into darkness. The Valtheran soldiers scrambled, their systems offline and their comms silenced. From the treeline, the SEALs picked off targets with precision. Suppressed rifles barked in the night, each shot lethal. The Valtheran, unused to fighting an enemy they couldn't see, fell into disarray. One of the Valtheran officers barked orders, trying to rally his troops. Find them. They're just a handful of primitives. Keller heard the command through the team's intercepted feed. He chuckled grimly. Let's show them what primitives can do. As the SEALs moved to exfiltrate, Keller left a final parting gift, a timed charge on the enemy's ammunition stockpile. Moments after they vanished into the forest, the explosion lit up the night, the roar shaking the ground. The Valtheran High Command received word of the disruption but dismissed it as a minor setback. Insignificant, Warlord Kraildar sneered, reviewing the reports. Their desperation will only prolong their suffering. But the disruptions continued. Across the globe, SEAL Team Echo and other elite units struck with surgical precision. Supply lines were severed, forward bases sabotaged, and key officers eliminated. The psychological toll on the Valtheran was devastating. For the first time in centuries, they faced an enemy who didn't fight by the rules of galactic warfare. The humans were ghosts, striking from the shadows, retreating before the Valtheran could respond. Rumors spread among the Valtheran ranks. Whispers of invisible predators, unstoppable and unrelenting, began to erode morale. Soldiers feared venturing into Earth's wilderness, convinced the humans were watching, waiting to strike. As the days passed, the SEAL team's missions grew bolder. In one operation, they ambushed a Valtheran convoy transporting a prototype energy weapon. The attack was swift and brutal, leaving no survivors. The stolen technology was sent back to human scientists, who quickly adapted it for Earth's defenses. In another mission, the SEALs infiltrated a heavily fortified bunker, disabling a key orbital defense uplink. The Valtheran fleet, deprived of critical targeting data, began suffering losses from Earth's increasingly effective counterattacks. Keller's team operated with ruthless efficiency, but the weight of the mission was not lost on them. During a brief moment of respite, Ramirez muttered, "Feels like we're David going up against Goliath." Keller glanced at him, his expression unreadable. David won, didn't he? By now, the Valtheran had lost any illusion of a swift victory. Their invasion force was fractured, their once coordinated assaults reduced to isolated skirmishes. Warlord Kraildar, enraged by the setbacks, ordered his forces to redouble their efforts. "Crush them," he roared. "Burn their world to the ground if you must." But humanity had already seized the initiative. Each Valtheran failure strengthened Earth's resolve. And in the shadows, SEAL Team Echo prepared for their most dangerous mission yet, the elimination of the Valtheran's ground-based command center. As the SEALs reviewed the mission plan, Keller's voice cut through the tension. "They called us weak. Let's make sure they never forget who we are." The Valtheran command center loomed in the heart of a once thriving metropolis, now reduced to rubble. The alien stronghold, a massive fusion of sleek metal and organic architecture, pulsed with an eerie, crimson glow. It was heavily guarded, surrounded by automated defenses and bioengineered sentries. To the Valtheran, it was an impenetrable fortress. To SEAL Team Echo, it was a target. Lieutenant Commander Keller crouched on the roof of a ruined skyscraper, studying the structure through his binoculars. The rest of the team lay hidden nearby, silent as shadows. "This is it," he said, his voice a low murmur over the team's encrypted comms. "The nerve center of their invasion. We take this out, and they lose the ability to coordinate their forces on Earth." "And if we fail?" Ramirez asked, half joking to mask the tension in his voice. "We won't," Keller replied firmly. "Failure isn't an option." The plan was simple in theory but harrowing in execution. Daniels would infiltrate the command center's network, feeding false signals to their defenses. The rest of the team would plant charges on key structural points, collapsing the fortress and crippling the Valtheran's operations. Moving under the cover of darkness, the SEALs advanced through the war-torn city. Every step was deliberate, every movement calculated. They bypassed patrols and evaded surveillance drones, their training and experience turning the city's ruins into an advantage. Daniels reached the command center's perimeter first. She connected her device to an access node, her fingers dancing over the keyboard. "I'm in," she whispered. "Looping their cameras and disabling motion sensors. You've got a 15-minute window." "Understood," Keller replied. Let's move. Inside the fortress, the air was thick with tension. The Valtheran soldiers, though disciplined, carried an undercurrent of unease. Whispers of the unseen human predators had reached even the highest ranks. In a dimly lit control room, Commander Veiltrax reviewed the battlefield reports. His 4 eyes narrowed as he analyzed the patterns of human resistance. These primitives fight like no species we've ever encountered, he muttered. They do not rely on numbers or brute strength. They adapt, they endure. His musings were interrupted by a distant explosion. The room shook, and alarms blared throughout the fortress. Status report. Veiltrax barked. An external relay has been destroyed, a subordinate replied. Unknown assailants. The SEALs worked with ruthless efficiency. Keller and Ramirez planted charges on structural supports while Petty Officer Singh provided overwatch, his sniper rifle trained on potential threats. Daniels continued feeding false data into the Valtheron systems, sowing confusion among their ranks. But the mission wasn't without risk. As the SEALs moved deeper into the fortress, an unlucky guard stumbled upon one of the charges. His shout of alarm was cut short by a silenced shot from Singh, but the damage was done. They're on to us, Keller said, his voice calm despite the rising tension. Daniels, can you delay their response? I'm trying, she replied, her voice strained. But they're locking me out. We're running out of time. Then we finish this now, Keller said. Ramirez, are the charges set? Good to go, Ramirez confirmed. Then let's light it up. The SEALs detonated the charges, triggering a cascade of destruction. Explosions ripped through the fortress, collapsing walls and severing critical systems. The Valtheran defenders scrambled to respond, but their confusion and the loss of communication rendered them ineffective. In the chaos, Keller led his team toward the extraction point. The fortress was crumbling around them, each step a race against time. As they neared the exit, Veiltrax appeared, flanked by a squad of elite guards. His alien features twisted in fury. You dare defy the Valtheran Empire, he roared. Keller stepped forward, his rifle aimed squarely at the commander. We don't just defy, he said coldly. We win. The SEALs opened fire, their precise shots cutting down the guards. Veiltrax lunged at Keller, his strength overwhelming, but Keller sidestepped and plunged a combat knife into the alien's neck. The Valtheran commander fell, his lifeblood pooling on the ground. The SEALs barely made it out as the fortress collapsed in a final, deafening explosion. From a safe distance, they watched the inferno consume the command center. Mission accomplished, Daniels said, her voice tinged with relief. Keller nodded. This will buy us time, but the fight's not over. We've sent them a message, though. Earth isn't theirs for the taking. The destruction of the command center sent shockwaves through the Valtheran invasion force. Deprived of leadership and coordination, their once formidable war machine fell into disarray. Human forces, emboldened by the SEAL's success, launched counteroffensives across the globe. In orbit, Warlord Kraelthar received the news with disbelief. How could a handful of primitives bring us to our knees, he demanded. But the answer was clear to anyone who had faced the SEALs: humanity's strength wasn't just in their technology or tactics. It was in their unyielding spirit, their ability to adapt, and their refusal to accept defeat. As dawn broke over the battlefield, Keller and his team stood together, their faces marked with exhaustion but also determination. They'll come back, Ramirez said. Let them, Keller replied. We'll be ready. With that, the SEALs melted back into the shadows, ready to continue the fight.